So cystic fibrosis is certainly a rare disease, at least from a clinical research perspective. The good news is it's one of the larger rare diseases. So there are 75,000 patients in the community that are potential enrollees in clinical trials. The unique thing about cystic fibrosis as compared to other particular therapeutic areas is a role that the CF Foundation plays in organizing research. So the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation actually organizes research centers not just in the US, but increasingly helping organize centers across the globe so that care is coordinated and research programs are coordinated so that only the highest priority programs get into the queue and get done on an efficient basis. The other important aspect of the organization of clinical trials beyond the CF Foundation's role in coordinating care and helping fund innovative research programs is that the patients themselves are very dedicated to being in clinical trials. As you can imagine, a patient with something as severe as cystic fibrosis visits their physician pretty frequently. In fact, on average, patients visit their doctor once a quarter for their chronic care. It could be more frequent than that if there's an acute episode that they have to deal with. But the fact that these patients interact with their specialists on a regular basis, and the specialists are actually coordinated by the CF Foundation, we have a very ready-made group of patients who are interested in participating in clinical trials, who frequently visit their scientific researcher, who also happens to be their doctor, and that's aggregated and coordinated by the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So in contrast to other diseases where you're really hunting down patients across the globe, almost independently as a sponsor, in cystic fibrosis, there's terrific organization from the CF Foundation, and there's terrific desire from the patients to participate in the trials. And if you talk to patients, they almost feel a dedication, if you will, a responsibility to help move science on, because they know what it's like to live with this disease. And they feel like if they can participate in clinical trials, they can not only get a chance to improve their own care, but can move the science on so that future generations of patients with cystic fibrosis actually have a better standard of care. And so it's a really neat community to work with. There are quite a few patient advocacy groups in the cystic fibrosis community. We work with the CF Foundation primarily, almost exclusively, on actual design of clinical trials, running of clinical trials, organizing the clinical trial, and actually are the proud recipient of a research grant from the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And so we enjoy terrific scientific and financial support from the CF Foundation. But there are a number of other patient organizations like the Boomer Foundation, which helps educate patients on care and issues related to the disease. There are other groups in the community that we engage with as well on a regular basis, because we really do need to keep our finger on the pulse of what it's like in the CF community on a very contemporary basis. And so we work with a number of different advocacy groups beyond the CF Foundation to make sure people are educated about what we're doing and help to the extent we can about raising awareness about the role of inflammation in cystic fibrosis. And on the opposite side, we actually work with the CF Foundation to help organize, design, and execute our clinical trials.